Welcome to the Book Club podcast. You're listening to the audiobook edition of Becoming Her: How to Stand Out in a World Full of Beautiful Women
by Kamiko Chamo.
If this is your first time here, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future chapters or upcoming book releases. This book is also available on Amazon in both paperback and Kindle formats if you'd like your own copy to read along or take notes. Now, let's begin today's chapter.
Chapter 5.
The Power of Soft Power, the secret weapon most women ignore. Soft power is the quiet force that shapes perception, influences outcomes, and commands respect without demanding it. It does not need to shout or dominate to be felt. It is the gentle hand that moves mountains while appearing still. In a world that often glorifies aggression, competition, and assertiveness as measures of strength, soft power remains one of the most underestimated yet transformative forms of influence a woman can embody. To understand soft power is to understand subtlety, the ability to affect others not through force, but through grace, presence, and emotional intelligence. It is the strength to stay composed when others react, to influence without manipulation, and to lead without intimidation. Soft power transforms spaces, disarms hostility, and turns resistance into openness. What soft power really means? Soft power is rooted in the feminine principle, receptive, intuitive, and empathetic. It is not weakness. It is wisdom in motion. While hard power relies on control, soft power relies on connection. Hard power says, "Do as I say." Soft power whispers, "Follow my energy." When a woman operates from soft power, she moves strategically. Her calmness in conflict speaks louder than argument. Her composure in chaos steadies others, and her kindness in competition elevates everyone around her. This influence comes not from fear, but from emotional balance. It is leadership through vibration rather than volume. Soft power means being approachable but not accessible to everyone, empathetic but not exploitable, compassionate but not careless. It is the equilibrium between heart and boundaries. The subtle art of influence. Influence is not about persuasion, it's about energy alignment. When you are grounded, your presence naturally inspires trust. Soft power begins with self-regulation, mastering your emotions so they do not master you. People instinctively trust those who can remain calm when others panic, who can see clearly when others react blindly. The woman who embodies soft power doesn't force people to agree with her, she helps them want to. Her influence is emotional, not logical. She doesn't demand attention. She invites curiosity. She communicates through tone, timing, and body language more than words. Her stillness draws focus because it signals control not of others, but of self. When you hold soft power, people feel safe in your presence. And safety, not fear, is the most powerful form of control. Mastering the calm response. The calm response is the cornerstone of soft power. When chaos erupts, your reaction determines your influence. The one who remains calm sets the tone for everyone else. The calm woman becomes the emotional thermostat in any room, not the thermometer that simply reacts. Calmness is not passive. It is intentional. It comes from choosing inner stillness over outer noise. The calm response dismantles conflict because it denies drama its fuel. It allows you to lead by example rather than demand obedience. In relationships, this mastery creates emotional stability. In leadership, it cultivates respect. The calm woman is remembered not for her noise, but for her composure. Her steadiness communicates, "I am in control of me. Therefore, I am safe to follow." Controlling the tone, not the room. Soft power is about controlling tone, not people. Tone determines perception, in words, movement, and even silence. A sharp tone can escalate, a measured one can disarm. The confident woman understands that her voice carries more weight when it's steady than when it's loud. Tone control extends beyond speech. It includes energy. The energy you carry is the tone of your presence. If you walk into a space anxious or reactive, others mirror that vibration. If you enter calm and collected, you stabilize the environment. Emotional energy, like music, sets rhythm. To master tone is to master influence. You do not need to dominate a room when your presence already defines it. Why softness intimidates insecure people. Insecure people mistake softness for weakness because they only understand power through control. When they encounter someone who cannot be provoked or manipulated, they feel threatened. Softness reveals their lack of self-regulation. The woman grounded in soft power cannot be baited into reaction. Her peace frustrates those addicted to chaos. Her patience exposes impatience. Her silence magnifies insecurity. Yet this is not her problem to fix, it is her mirror to hold. Understanding this dynamic prevents over-explanation. The more you defend your calm, the more you feed another's instability. True power lies in remaining composed even when misunderstood. Let your silence teach what words cannot. How softness creates safety and mystery. Softness is magnetic because it feels safe. It invites openness and vulnerability from others. Yet within that safety lies mystery, a sense of depth that cannot be easily accessed. This balance between warmth and restraint creates intrigue. A woman who embodies softness doesn't overshare or overextend. She knows that mystery sustains attraction, both in romance and in respect. She reveals just enough to connect, but never so much that she becomes predictable. Her softness is an energy of grace wrapped in boundaries. People feel at ease in her presence because she does not compete. She complements. She radiates quiet confidence that says, "You are welcome in my space, but only if you can honor it." The discipline of grace. Grace is not weakness. It is emotional discipline refined through empathy. It is the choice to respond with poise when insulted, to maintain self-respect when disrespected, and to remain kind without being naive. Grace is strength restrained, power softened. Discipline gives grace its structure. Without discipline, grace becomes people-pleasing. With discipline, it becomes influence. The woman who lives in grace doesn't allow others to dictate her reactions. Her kindness is deliberate, her forgiveness selective, her patience strategic. Grace turns confrontation into elevation. It communicates refinement, reminding others that maturity is not measured by dominance, but by restraint. Soft power as legacy. Soft power is timeless. Beauty fades, charisma fluctuates, but emotional control and grace endure. The woman who masters soft power leaves an imprint on every space she enters. People remember her not for what she said, but for how they felt in her presence. Her power lies not in forcing others to notice her, but in making them feel seen. She elevates without effort and influences without force. That is the quiet revolution of soft power, leading not with control, but with consciousness. To wield soft power is to understand that gentleness is not the absence of strength, it is strength refined. It is the highest form of command, to move the world not by pushing against it, but by flowing through it. The subtle art of influence, how to lead without forcing. Influence is not domination, it is direction through energy. It is the invisible ability to shift emotions, decisions, and environments without the need for control. True influence comes not from authority, but from alignment. When your words, energy, and actions reflect inner consistency, people naturally follow your lead. A confident woman does not need to demand respect. She emanates it. Her presence is an unspoken persuasion. Every person emits frequency, a combination of posture, tone, and emotional stability. When your energy is coherent, it commands attention and trust. This is the essence of feminine influence. Not control, not manipulation, but resonance. It is the power to lead without imposing, to inspire without instructing. Influence rooted in energy, not ego. Ego-based influence seeks validation. Energy-based influence seeks alignment. When ego drives, people feel pressure. When energy leads, people feel peace. A woman in her feminine influence understands that her energy communicates long before her words do. If she is grounded, people feel safe. If she is chaotic, they mirror that chaos. Influence begins with self-awareness. Every emotion you emit creates a ripple. Your tone, your eye contact, your breathing, all transmit messages beyond language. When your inner world is balanced, you naturally stabilize the external. This is why emotional mastery is the foundation of influence. You cannot lead others where you have not yet led yourself. Authenticity as the core of power. Influence is sustained through authenticity. The world is magnetized by sincerity, not perfection. People can sense the difference between someone performing confidence and someone embodying it. When you are unapologetically yourself, you give permission for others to be authentic too. That freedom is influence. Authenticity also builds trust. It eliminates the distance between who you are and how you appear. You no longer need to manage impressions or prove worth. Your energy speaks for itself, calm, consistent, grounded. The woman who stands in truth influences effortlessly because people crave what feels real. Emotional calibration and response. Influence does not come from always speaking. It often comes from knowing when not to. Emotional calibration means adjusting your tone and energy to the moment without betraying your integrity. It's the art of sensing what the situation needs, firmness, softness, silence, and delivering it with intention. When you stay emotionally composed in tense situations, you reset the environment. People mirror emotional frequency. Therefore, the most stable person in the room becomes the leader. You do not need to raise your voice to be heard. Your composure commands the space. A calm woman can shift the entire tone of a conversation simply through her stillness. That is the hidden magnetism of self-control. The psychology of subtle persuasion. Subtle persuasion is not manipulation. It is emotional intelligence in motion. It means understanding the needs, fears, and motivations of others and guiding outcomes in ways that honor all sides. Influence is most effective when others feel seen, not controlled. The confident woman influences by reflecting people's highest selves back to them. She validates their emotions while gently steering their perspective. Her words feel comforting yet firm. She doesn't need to argue. Her tone carries certainty. People listen because they feel heard first. She practices empathy strategically. She feels others' emotions without absorbing them. This emotional boundary preserves her energy and amplifies her credibility. Softness as a strategic force. Softness is persuasive because it disarms. When others expect resistance and instead meet calm understanding, defensiveness dissolves. Softness invites cooperation, whereas aggression provokes opposition. The most skilled communicators understand this paradox, that gentleness often achieves what intensity cannot. Soft power transforms resistance into receptivity. It allows difficult conversations to unfold without hostility. It communicates, I am secure enough in my truth that I don't need to fight for it. That serenity invites respect. This does not mean tolerating disrespect. It means using grace as your first language and firmness as your second. When you combine both, you become unforgettable. Influence through consistency. Nothing builds influence faster than consistency. People trust what they can predict. When your words and actions align over time, you become reliable, a rare quality in a world of instability. The woman who follows through on her word holds quiet authority. Consistency also applies to emotional patterns. Being emotionally stable does not mean never feeling. It means never letting feelings dictate behavior. When others realize you can remain balanced even under stress, they instinctively defer to your steadiness. Consistency earns respect that charisma alone cannot. Charisma might attract, Consistency sustains. The power of silence and timing. Timing is influence disguised as intuition. Knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when to walk away shapes outcomes more than words themselves. The confident woman understands that silence often carries more weight than argument. She does not rush to fill gaps or over-explain. She allows others to process, because silence creates gravity. People listen when you leave room for reflection. Her restraint becomes her advantage. Her patience becomes her persuasion. Influence flows through timing because time amplifies energy. The right truth, spoken at the right moment, becomes transformative. The legacy of subtle influence. Influence is not about control, it is about impact. The woman who practices subtle influence changes dynamics without confrontation. She restores balance simply by embodying it. Her energy becomes a mirror that reflects harmony wherever she goes. People remember how she made them feel calm, valued, inspired. That is the essence of legacy, not being remembered for power gained, but for peace given. To lead through subtle influence is to trust that presence is louder than performance. It is to know that mastery does not seek attention, it commands it silently. Mastering the calm response, turning stillness into power. There is a particular kind of power that lives in calmness, the kind that cannot be shaken, provoked, or broken by noise. When you master the calm response, you stop reacting to life impulsively and start responding intentionally. Calmness does not mean indifference or weakness. It is the conscious regulation of your energy in the face of emotional storms. It is the recognition that reaction feeds chaos, while composure redirects it. The calm woman is not detached from emotion. She is in command of it. She feels everything, but nothing controls her. She has learned that power does not always roar. Sometimes, it whispers through restraint. Her presence soothes conflict, not by submission, but by alignment with her own peace. The psychology of reactivity. Reactivity is the body's survival mechanism, a remnant of the primitive mind that interprets disagreement as danger. When triggered, the nervous system shifts into defense, and emotion overrides reason. The result is impulsive speech, rash decisions, and energy leakage. The more one reacts, the more control is lost. Calmness begins with awareness of this process. Emotional maturity is not about suppressing reaction, but understanding it. When you recognize that most provocation is projection, that others' behavior reflects their own state, not your value, you stop taking things personally. This realization breaks the cycle of reaction. The woman who masters her calm learns to pause before responding. That pause is her power. In that still second, she decides, is this worth my peace? The discipline of stillness. Stillness is not the absence of thought. It is the discipline of choosing which thoughts deserve energy. It requires training the nervous system to remain stable when everything around you demands reaction. This discipline builds over time through awareness and breath. When tension rises, the confident woman does not rush to fill silence or prove her point.
She breathes.
She allows emotions to settle before choosing words. This pause prevents regret and amplifies respect. People remember not only what you say, but how you handle the moments before you say it. Stillness also creates mystery. When you remain calm under pressure, others wonder what you know that they don't. Your restraint becomes magnetic. Composure as emotional currency. In any interaction, emotion is currency. The person who spends it recklessly loses leverage. The one who conserves it maintains control. Composure is emotional wealth, the ability to remain centered when others become reactive. In relationships, this skill changes dynamics. Arguments transform from battles into conversations. You stop matching chaos with chaos and instead influence the energy of the exchange. Calmness doesn't mean allowing disrespect. It means addressing it with precision rather than passion. In professional settings, composure is respect embodied. People follow those who remain stable under stress. Leadership begins not with authority, but with control of emotion. The energy of non-reaction. Non-reaction is not passivity. It is strategy. When you refuse to be provoked, you maintain power. Every reaction gives your energy away. The unshaken woman becomes unpredictable. Her stillness unsettles those who thrive on drama. The energy of non-reaction is grounded and expansive. It radiates quiet dominance, signaling self-possession. When you do not mirror someone's chaos, they are forced to confront their own. This creates emotional accountability without confrontation. The woman who remains calm under provocation teaches, through example. Her stillness becomes the mirror in which others see their imbalance. Using breath to anchor presence. Breath is the bridge between emotion and control. In moments of tension, shallow breathing intensifies anxiety. Slow, deep breathing restores clarity. This is why calm women appear composed. They use breath to anchor presence. When you inhale deeply, you activate the parasympathetic nervous system, signaling safety to the brain. The body relaxes and the mind follows. This physiological grounding allows thoughtful responses to replace reflexive reactions. Practicing breath work, even 3 conscious breaths before speaking, transforms energy. It teaches the body that safety and strength can coexist.
Calmness in conflict.
Conflict is inevitable, but chaos is optional. The woman who remains calm during confrontation commands the situation without domination. Her tone stays measured, her body relaxed, her eyes steady. She listens not to reply, but to understand. This approach diffuses tension because it introduces balance into imbalance. When calmness replaces defensiveness, communication shifts from competition to connection. People begin to mirror your steadiness. You lead emotionally without ever needing to assert control. In romantic or personal relationships, this ability is transformative. Emotional stability becomes safety, and safety becomes attraction.
People trust what is steady.
The spiritual strength of calmness. Spiritually, calmness is alignment with truth. It is the awareness that peace is not found outside. It is cultivated within. The calm woman does not need to prove her point because she knows her worth is not defined by argument. Her peace becomes her proof. This calmness is not passive surrender. It is divine trust. It says, I do not chase what is already mine, and I do not fight what is beneath me. Her stillness is her prayer, her quiet a declaration of faith in timing, justice, and self-worth. Calmness is the bridge between chaos and clarity, between ego and intuition. The more you dwell in that space, the more magnetic your energy becomes. The art of silent authority. Authority does not require volume. True authority is felt, not forced. It comes from emotional equilibrium, from the ability to remain steady when others waver. The calm woman does not compete for dominance. She establishes it through presence. Her voice is never rushed. Her gestures are deliberate. She allows others to speak first, knowing that listening gives her power. When she finally responds, her words land with weight because they are rare and refined. This is silent authority, leadership through resonance rather than reaction. It inspires rather than intimidates. Living as the calm within the storm. To master the calm response is to live as the eye of the storm, still, centered, unshaken. Life will always deliver challenges, but calmness ensures they do not penetrate your spirit. You begin to see adversity not as threat, but as opportunity for mastery. Calm women are not untouched by life's noise. They simply refuse to be defined by it. They are water, not fire, adaptable, powerful, impossible to grasp. Their peace is not fragile. It is fortified. When you live from this place, you no longer chase control. You are control. You lead by vibration, influence by stillness, and transform chaos through presence. Calmness becomes your signature, your language, your legacy. Controlling the tone, not the room, the language of influence. Tone is the energy beneath your words, the emotional frequency that people feel before they comprehend what you say. It is more powerful than language itself because it bypasses intellect and communicates directly with intuition. The woman who understands how to control her tone masters one of the most subtle forms of influence. She doesn't need to raise her voice to be heard or force her presence to be felt. Her tone does the work for her. The art of tone control is the art of emotional regulation. It is about choosing how your energy enters a space, not reacting to its chaos, but defining its rhythm. When you control your tone, you don't need to control the room. The room adjusts to you. The emotional weight of words. Every word carries vibration. The tone in which you deliver those words determines whether they heal or harm, elevate or diminish. The confident woman knows this. She chooses her tone with intention, firm but calm, assertive yet kind. She understands that tone shapes perception far more than content does. When someone remembers your words, they rarely recall every syllable. They remember how you made them feel. That feeling is tone. You can command respect or lose it in a single breath depending on the energy you project behind your words. Tone is the invisible thread that weaves emotion into communication. Mastering it requires awareness of both your internal state and your audience's energy. Energetic tone, the unspoken language. Tone is not only auditory, it's energetic. Even in silence, your body speaks through posture, breath, and presence. The tone of your energy sets the emotional atmosphere around you. If you enter a space anxious or reactive, that energy spreads. If you walk in grounded and calm, the environment aligns with your steadiness. This energetic tone precedes your voice. People feel it before you say a word. The confident woman understands this and uses it to create emotional safety wherever she goes. Her energy communicates consistency, the kind that reassures and inspires. Your energy tells a story. Do I trust myself? Am I centered? Do I know my worth? Before you even speak, your tone answers these questions for everyone in the room. Mastering verbal tone, calm authority. The voice is a mirror of the mind. When you speak from chaos, your tone sounds sharp, rushed, or defensive. When you speak from calm, your voice slows, softens, and deepens. This shift signals control and authority. Confident communication has rhythm. It doesn't rush, doesn't stumble, and doesn't chase attention. It is deliberate and precise. The calm tone commands attention naturally, not through dominance, but through resonance. The woman who controls her tone never needs to raise her volume. The steadiness in her voice demands presence from others. She can diffuse tension by lowering her tone or redirect attention simply by pausing. Silence, too, is tone, and it often carries the most weight. The art of measured speech. Measured speech is elegance in motion. Tone is boundary. Tone is a boundary in itself. It communicates limits without confrontation. A calm but firm tone says, "This conversation ends here." A gentle but steady tone says, "I will not be disrespected." You don't need aggression when tone carries authority. When you master tone, you master emotional space. You can disengage without coldness, assert without aggression, and correct without condescension. Tone transforms conflict into communication. The woman who knows how to use tone never loses control of the conversation. She simply shifts its direction. Her words are not reactions. They are responses, crafted with precision and grace. Recalibrating the room. Tone can reset an entire environment. When tension rises, your composure becomes contagious. By staying calm, you regulate the emotional energy of those around you. This is emotional leadership, not through instruction, but through vibration. When others argue loudly, you lower your tone. When they rush, you slow your speech. This counterbalance diffuses escalation and reestablishes equilibrium. People instinctively mirror your energy, So controlling tone means controlling the collective state of the room. This is how confident women lead without commanding. Their emotional stability becomes the anchor for others to settle into. Tone and femininity. Tone, when used consciously, amplifies femininity. Feminine energy thrives in flow, not force. A woman who masters her tone communicates through grace, not dominance. Her words feel soft yet powerful, gentle yet precise. She leads with emotional rhythm, the cadence of empathy balanced with conviction. Femininity in tone is not about submission, it's about harmony. It says, I can be kind and firm. I can be warm and wise. I can lead without losing softness. Her voice becomes both balm and command, soothing enough to calm hearts, steady enough to command attention. The tone of self-respect. Every conversation is an exchange of power. Tone determines how much of that power you keep. The woman rooted in self-respect never allows emotion to dictate tone. Even when anger arises, she channels it through clarity rather than aggression. Her calmness is her control. When you speak from self-respect, tone naturally balances empathy with authority. It communicates boundaries without hostility. It turns communication into art, precise, intentional, and magnetic. You never lose power by staying calm. You lose it by proving you have it. The confident woman's tone doesn't need to shout, I matter. It already declares it through every steady breath. The sound of inner peace. Ultimately, tone is a reflection of inner peace. The more at ease you are with yourself, the more harmonious your voice becomes. When your tone aligns with your truth, it resonates, not just with others, but within you. The tone of peace doesn't waver under pressure. It flows. It says, I am home within myself, and no chaos can move me. That resonance becomes magnetic. People are drawn not to the words you say, but to the calm behind them. To control tone is to control reality. When you master your sound, you master your world. Why softness intimidates insecure people. Softness is often misunderstood in a world that worships noise. It is mistaken for submission, fragility, or naivety, when in truth, it is the highest expression of control. Softness requires emotional discipline, awareness, and restraint. It is choosing grace when anger feels justified, compassion when ego demands defense, and patience when pride seeks dominance. The insecure find this terrifying because softness reveals their chaos. Insecurity feeds on reaction. It survives on emotional volatility. When faced with softness, there is nothing to push against, nothing to dominate. The insecure mistake stillness for weakness because they do not yet understand its power. Softness exposes instability by remaining unmoved in its presence. The woman who masters softness does not surrender to disrespect. She transcends it. Her calm is not ignorance, it is strategy. She knows that nothing drains the insecure faster than peace they cannot disrupt. The misinterpretation of softness. The world often equates softness with submission because it confuses loudness with power. Those who have never experienced emotional security interpret gentleness as permission and kindness as vulnerability. But the woman who moves in softness does not bend to others. She bends around them, like water around stone. She is not weak. She is wise. She does not argue for recognition because her energy already commands it. She doesn't need to assert dominance to prove strength. She embodies it so quietly that it unsettles those who rely on force to feel relevant. Softness is not the opposite of strength. It is its refinement. The insecure cannot understand this because their power depends on control. Yours depends on self-mastery. Emotional self-mastery as silent strength. Emotional mastery is the art of governing your internal world regardless of the external. It is the ability to feel deeply, yet choose responses with precision. Softness is not emotional numbness. It is awareness without reaction. When a woman refuses to be provoked, She mirrors to the insecure what they fear most, their own lack of control. Her calmness holds up a mirror to their chaos. Her peace reveals their turbulence. Her non-reaction disarms their aggression. This is why insecure people sometimes become hostile toward calm individuals. Their peace makes others confront the disorganization within themselves. Softness, in this way, becomes a teacher. The power dynamic of peace. Power does not always dominate. Sometimes it dissolves. When you respond to hostility with composure, you take back control of the emotional exchange. Insecurity thrives on triggering reaction. It needs to see your disturbance to validate its own instability. But when you remain unbothered, the insecure are left exposed, their tactics ineffective. The calm woman does not compete for control because she already possesses it. Her peace is not passive, it is protective. By staying calm, she preserves her dignity and forces others to confront their own behavior without distraction. Softness becomes dominance without aggression, authority without confrontation. Softness as boundary. Softness is not about tolerance, it is about boundary. It is choosing to stay composed without allowing disrespect. A soft boundary is not weak, it is simply firm without force. It says, I see your chaos, but I will not let it enter my peace. The woman of quiet power sets limits with tone, silence, and presence rather than anger. Her boundaries are felt energetically before they are spoken verbally. People sense what they can and cannot do around her, not because she threatens, but because she emanates respect. In this way, softness commands more obedience than aggression ever could. When softness disarms and heals, insecure people often respond defensively to strength because they perceive it as opposition. Softness bypasses this resistance. It invites vulnerability instead of fear. It disarms without humiliation. The calm woman can dissolve hostility simply by refusing to match its vibration. She lowers the emotional temperature in the room through her tone, her breath, and her grounded energy. Her softness says, I am not your enemy. I am your mirror. In many cases, her peace begins to heal the environment around her. People soften in her presence because they subconsciously feel safe. Her calm gives others permission to exhale. Softness and the feminine advantage. Masculine energy thrives on assertion, on logic, structure, and control. Feminine energy, when embodied fully, influences through flow. It leads not by confrontation, but by coherence. Soft power aligns situations rather than forcing them. In relationships, this energy becomes magnetic. It draws rather than chases, invites rather than demands. Insecure individuals may initially resist this calm energy because it destabilizes their need for control, yet they cannot deny its pull. Softness, therefore, is both armor and allure. It is what allows a woman to remain radiant under pressure and magnetic amid noise. Why softness feels threatening? Softness threatens those who equate noise with worth because it exposes the fragility of their self-esteem. The insecure person cannot comprehend peace without passivity, or confidence without arrogance. When faced with someone who does not react, they feel invisible, and invisibility terrifies the insecure. They cannot manipulate calm, because calm offers no reaction. They cannot guilt peace, because peace does not bargain. To an insecure person, a calm woman feels like a mirror too clean to hide behind. Her serenity becomes confrontation in disguise. This is why softness often provokes confusion. It dismantles control without conflict. Softness as ultimate authority. True authority is quiet. It doesn't need to prove, explain, or overpower. The soft woman leads not through command, but through consistency. Her calm presence is the emotional anchor others rely on, even when they resist it. Her authority is felt in the way she moves through discomfort, the way she holds silence, and the way she exits with grace. When she walks away, she does not slam doors. She simply removes her energy. That absence speaks louder than anger ever could. Softness is not submission to others. It is submission to self-respect. It is saying, I will not meet you in chaos. You must rise to meet me in peace. The radiance of restraint. Restraint is not repression. It is refinement. It is knowing you could destroy someone with truth, but choosing silence instead. It is knowing you could dominate a conversation, but allowing quiet to hold space. It is the grace of power under control. The woman who practices restraint becomes luminous. Her energy feels effortless but potent. She glows not because she's trying to be seen, but because she's mastered her light. To the insecure, that glow feels like a challenge. To the balanced, it feels like peace. Softness reveals who is aligned and who is not. That is its brilliance and its protection. Conclusion: the soft revolution. Softness is the revolution of this century, the quiet undoing of aggression, the restoration of grace in a world obsessed with dominance. It does not shout, it shifts. It does not fight, it transforms. To be soft in a world that rewards hardness is the ultimate rebellion. It is to say, I choose peace over pride, awareness over argument, love over fear. Let others misunderstand your calm. Let the insecure call it weakness. You will know better because your softness is not submission. It is sovereignty. It is the confidence that whispers, my peace is my power, and it cannot be taken. How softness creates safety and mystery. Softness has an energy that wraps around people like silk, gentle, warm, and soothing. It lowers defenses, opens hearts, and transforms tension into connection. The confident woman understands that her softness is not merely a trait, but a tool. It creates emotional safety while preserving the allure of mystery. In a world overflowing with noise, opinions, and overexposure, her softness becomes the rare quietness that people crave but cannot define. To create safety is to create trust, and to sustain mystery is to maintain magnetism. The two together form a perfect duality: accessibility without overexposure, warmth without surrender. This balance draws people in while still preserving personal sovereignty. The energy of emotional safety. Emotional safety is one of the most magnetic forces on Earth. It is the sense that someone's presence allows you to breathe deeper, think clearly, and be yourself without fear of judgment. Softness is the energy that creates this feeling. It says, you are safe here. I see you without needing to change you. The woman who carries this energy listens without interruption, observes without intrusion, and responds without haste. Her tone soothes. Her body language opens rather than threatens. In this stillness, others relax. They unconsciously mirror her calm, because safety always creates connection. This form of safety is not about people-pleasing. It's about grounded awareness. It means knowing you are so secure in yourself that you do not need to control anyone else's perception. The safety she offers others begins with the safety she provides within herself. The magnetic paradox of mystery. Mystery is the essence of attraction, the space between revelation and restraint. It is not about secrecy, it's about pacing. The confident woman understands that curiosity sustains connection longer than exposure ever could. Mystery invites pursuit. It keeps others emotionally engaged because there's always something more to uncover. When a woman shares only what aligns with her values and timing, she builds intrigue that feels natural, not manipulative. Her mystery is not a game, it's a boundary wrapped in grace. In a world where oversharing has become the norm, mystery is a quiet revolution. It says, I don't owe anyone access to my soul. That restraint becomes her magnetism. How softness balances intimacy and distance. Softness does not mean being emotionally open to everyone. It means knowing how to balance intimacy with discernment. The confident woman allows closeness selectively. She invites warmth, but not invasion. She understands that connection loses power without mystery and that love loses depth without boundaries. Her softness makes her approachable. Her mystery makes her unforgettable. People feel seen by her, yet they never feel they fully have her. That tension between comfort and curiosity is the essence of allure. Softness nurtures connection. Mystery preserves respect. When both coexist, attraction deepens beyond surface-level fascination. The science of the soothing presence. From a psychological perspective, softness regulates the nervous system, both your own and others. Calm tone, relaxed posture, and gentle expression signal safety to the human brain. When you maintain composure, other stress hormones decrease subconsciously. This is why the soft woman can calm conflict simply by being present. Her energy stabilizes environments. People trust her without knowing why. The body associates her energy with peace, and peace feels like home. This physiological response is the foundation of influence. People are drawn not to those who excite them briefly, but to those who regulate them consistently. Softness as silent confidence. Softness requires confidence, the kind that no longer seeks to prove itself. Only a woman who feels secure can remain gentle in a world that tries to provoke her. Her calmness is not compliance, it is control. When she smiles through misunderstanding or speaks with composure amid chaos, it is not weakness, it is mastery. She knows her peace cannot be purchased by reaction. She leads through vibration, not volume. Her softness communicates certainty. I am safe in my strength. I do not need to fight to show it. True confidence is not loud, it is luminous. It radiates from quiet assurance, not external performance. Mystery as feminine strategy. Mystery, when wielded with consciousness, becomes strategy. It gives depth to communication and elegance to presence. Revealing too much too soon dilutes intrigue. Revealing too little creates distance. The confident woman knows how to reveal just enough to be known while keeping enough to remain fascinating. Mystery is not withholding, it's timing. It's knowing when to speak, when to pause, and when to let silence do the talking. Every detail she reveals feels intentional, not impulsive. Mystery also protects energy. It prevents emotional overexposure, the exhaustion that comes from constantly explaining or justifying oneself. The woman who keeps part of herself sacred becomes magnetic because the world is starving for depth. Creating safety through boundaries. Safety does not exist without limits. Boundaries are what make people feel secure in your energy. When your actions, tone, and presence communicate clear standards, others relax because they know what to expect. The woman who blends softness with firmness establishes emotional order. She can say no without aggression, correct without humiliation, and redirect without control. Her boundaries feel nurturing, not harsh. This is why others trust her leadership and companionship. Softness without boundaries becomes confusion. Boundaries without softness become walls. True confidence exists where both coexist seamlessly. The aura of elegant mystery. There is something irresistibly magnetic about a woman whose calm carries questions, whose gaze is warm but unreadable, whose tone is soft but firm. She exudes a balance of serenity and suspense. You sense depth in her, stories untold, thoughts unspoken, emotions refined through grace. Her mystery is not manipulation, it is mastery. She understands that overexposure cheapens magic. Her elegance lies in restraint, and her power lies in peace. The longer one knows her, the more one realizes that her silence holds more wisdom than most conversations. She leaves an impression that lingers, not because she demanded attention, but because she never needed to. Softness as legacy. Softness, when lived authentically, becomes legacy. It transforms every interaction, every relationship, every environment. People remember not just what you said, but how they felt in your presence. Softness becomes an emotional signature, one that heals, inspires, and endures. The woman who leads with softness becomes a mirror of grace in a harsh world. Her mystery keeps her unforgettable. Her peace keeps her magnetic. She doesn't chase attention. She commands reverence through calm. Her softness is her crown. Her mystery is her veil. Together, they form the essence of her quiet empire. The discipline of grace, power refined. Grace is not the absence of strength. It is the restraint of it. It is knowing you could destroy someone with truth, but choosing silence instead. It is the decision to remain kind in a world that rewards cruelty, to stay composed when provoked, and to lead through empathy rather than ego. Grace is not weakness. It is emotional precision. It is power polished, not diminished. The disciplined woman understands that grace is not instinctive. It is practiced. It requires discernment, patience, and faith in one's own timing. Grace allows you to win battles without ever declaring war. It is the quiet assertion of dignity in spaces that mistake loudness for leadership. It is walking away without bitterness and standing tall without applause. Grace as emotional mastery. Grace is the ability to manage your emotions without suppressing them. It means being aware of what you feel, yet choosing expression that elevates rather than diminishes you. A graceful woman doesn't react, she regulates. Her composure is her command. When faced with conflict, she listens more than she speaks. Her words are measured, her movements intentional. She does not seek to dominate through fear, but to influence through stability. People feel safe in her presence because her calm signals control. Emotional grace is not perfection. It's patience with your humanity. It's understanding that the moment you lose your temper, you surrender your influence. Grace keeps you centered when ego tempts you to retaliate. The duality of grace, strength in softness. Grace lives in duality, the coexistence of gentleness and firmness, humility and confidence. It's the ability to hold compassion for others while maintaining unshakable self-respect. The world often teaches women that to be strong, they must be hard, but grace reveals that the opposite is true. True power is not in resistance but in rhythm. The woman who moves with grace can speak hard truths with soft tones, assert boundaries with elegance, and correct disrespect without aggression. Her presence feels both nurturing and commanding because she embodies harmony. She is not either/or, she is, and grace does not seek to overpower. It seeks to transform. Grace in conflict, when stillness speaks louder than words. In moments of confrontation, grace becomes strategy. The disciplined woman does not meet fire with fire, she extinguishes it with composure. When others expect retaliation, she offers reason. Her stillness disarms hostility because chaos cannot sustain itself without fuel. This doesn't mean she tolerates disrespect. Grace is not tolerance of abuse, it's precision of reaction. It's choosing to respond in a way that maintains her integrity while holding others accountable. She can say no firmly and still leave the air unpolluted by bitterness. Grace in conflict turns power struggles into lessons. The woman who practices it walks away untainted, not because she's untouched, but because she refuses to be dragged into emotional warfare. The language of grace. Grace is communicated not only through behavior, but through tone, timing, and presence. The way you speak, the way you pause, the way you end a sentence, all transmit energy. Grace speaks with empathy even when setting boundaries. It acknowledges others without agreeing to their dysfunction. The language of grace is clarity without cruelty. It replaces judgment with understanding and replaces defense with direction. The graceful woman never explains herself excessively. She trusts that truth does not require permission to exist. Every word she utters reflects intention, and every silence she holds carries strength. Grace as a form of self-protection. Grace is armor that does not harden the heart. It shields without isolating. It allows you to engage with the world's chaos without absorbing it. When provoked, grace says, "I will not lower my vibration to prove a point." By maintaining grace, you conserve emotional energy. You no longer hand control to those who seek to destabilize you. Instead, you choose how and when to engage. You learn that protecting your peace is not selfish, it is survival. Grace also protects from guilt. It reminds you that kindness does not require endurance of harm, and forgiveness does not require continued access. Grace as the feminine crown. A woman's grace is her crown, invisible, yet undeniable. It defines her presence more than appearance or words. It is the aura that lingers long after she has left the room. Grace transforms her from someone who seeks attention to someone who commands reverence. It is felt in her restraint, seen in her empathy, and remembered in her composure. She does not chase respect. She cultivates it through her energy. Others are drawn to her not because she performs perfection, but because she embodies peace. The crown of grace cannot be given or bought. It is earned through self-awareness and emotional evolution. Practicing grace daily. Grace is built through habits, pausing before replying, forgiving without reopening doors, maintaining posture in discomfort, and choosing empathy over ego. These small choices, repeated consistently, reshape your entire emotional landscape. Every time you choose grace, you affirm your power. You declare, "I am not controlled by chaos. I am guided by consciousness." Over time, this discipline becomes instinct. Calm becomes your natural state, and grace your second skin. You stop seeking to be understood and start focusing on understanding yourself. That self-clarity is the foundation of all grace. Grace as a spiritual practice. On a spiritual level, grace is alignment with divine timing. It is trusting that you do not need to force outcomes to receive what is already yours. It is surrender without fear. Grace whispers, "I release the need to prove, persuade, or control." It invites peace by removing resistance. The more you dwell in grace, the more you attract situations that match its frequency, opportunities that flow, relationships that respect, and decisions that feel right. It is the ultimate spiritual posture, hands open, heart steady, ego silent. The legacy of grace. Grace leaves echoes. People may forget your words, your face, even your accomplishments, but they never forget how they felt in your presence. Grace is what they remember when your name is mentioned. It is the emotional footprint you leave behind. The disciplined woman knows this. How she exits a moment is just as important as how she enters it. She does not depart in anger or bitterness. She leaves with dignity, calm, the immortality of presence. Legacy begins not with what you do, but with who you are while doing it. The world remembers essence far longer than achievement. When your energy leaves people feeling seen, safe, or inspired, you have already begun to leave a legacy. Soft power immortalizes presence because it is built on emotional truth. People forget words and gestures, but never the energy you bring into a room. A calm, grounded presence can heal tension faster than 1,000 speeches. The way you make others feel valued, respected, and understood becomes the silent echo of your existence. The soft woman's influence extends far beyond visibility. Even in absence, her energy lingers. People speak her name with reverence, not because she demanded attention, but because she embodied grace. The ripple effect of emotional intelligence. Soft power multiplies quietly. Every act of patience, kindness, and understanding ripples outward into other hearts. Emotional intelligence becomes a form of generational leadership, teaching through example how to lead with empathy instead of ego. When you respond to anger with calm, to conflict with compassion, and to chaos with composure, you model a new standard of strength. Others mirror what they witness in you. The tone you set in a single interaction can shift the emotional language of an entire environment, home, work, or community. The beauty of this kind of legacy is that you rarely see its full impact. It happens in unseen ways, in quiet transformations, in the gradual softening of others who once lived in hardness. Leading through grace, not fear. The leadership of soft power is not about command. It is about coherence. It invites rather than demands. It inspires rather than intimidates. Fear may achieve compliance, but grace creates loyalty. People follow what feels safe, and safety is born of steadiness. The graceful woman leads through alignment. Her words and actions match. Her tone and intentions harmonize. She does not manipulate, she models. This integrity builds influence that cannot be broken by competition or betrayal. When you embody soft leadership, your team, family, or community doesn't just respect you, they trust you. And trust is the foundation of every lasting legacy. Soft power in love and relationships. In love, soft power deepens connection by nurturing emotional balance. It is not about control, but about awareness, understanding when to speak, when to listen, when to yield, and when to hold. It allows love to flow rather than force. The soft woman in love doesn't chase, she attracts. She doesn't dominate, she inspires. Her energy is the safe place her partner returns to, not because she bends, but because she holds. Her softness reminds others that love is not a competition, but a collaboration of peace. Through it, she teaches that affection and respect can coexist without one overpowering the other. That lesson becomes part of her emotional legacy. Resilience wrapped in grace. Softness is not the absence of pain. It is the ability to endure it without losing humanity. The most powerful legacies are often born from women who have turned suffering into serenity. Their grace under pressure becomes inspiration for others to find strength in peace. Resilience and softness are twins. One endures, the other heals. Together, they form an unbreakable combination. A woman who rises after every fall without bitterness leaves behind a map for others. This is how to survive and still love the world. Her softness becomes proof that gentleness is not a liability, but a legacy of strength refined. Teaching through energy. Soft power teaches without preaching. It leads through vibration, through how you carry yourself, not through what you demand. Your energy tells people how to treat you, how to communicate with you, and how to coexist peacefully. Every time you respond with calm, you are teaching emotional maturity. Every time you choose compassion over control, you are teaching self-awareness. And every time you prioritize grace over gossip, you are teaching others how to hold power with purity. Soft power is not only an individual journey, it becomes a form of mentorship. It silently educates the world on how to love and lead better. The legacy of serenity. Serenity is not laziness, it is wisdom. It takes courage to remain unshaken in a world that profits from your anxiety. When you live from serenity, you give others permission to slow down, breathe, and reconnect with their own peace. That ripple is your legacy. People will come to associate your presence with relief. They'll remember that they could be fully themselves in your company, unjudged, unhurried, unafraid. That is the kind of immortality the soul craves, to be remembered not for perfection, but for peace. The woman who lives in serenity does not seek to control outcomes. She trusts alignment. Her ease is her influence, and her calm is her contribution to the world. Eternal power, when energy outlasts words. Words fade, accomplishments blur, but energy remains. The way you carried yourself, with poise, kindness, or conviction, becomes your true legacy. It travels through those you've touched, influencing their interactions with others, perpetuating your frequency long after you're gone. The woman of soft power understands this. She invests in the unseen, the tone, the presence, the vibration. She knows that how she shows up today shapes the emotional inheritance she leaves behind. Her life becomes a quiet revolution, not of noise or conquest, but of consciousness. Her softness shifts rooms, her peace recalibrates hearts, and her existence becomes proof that gentleness is not weakness. It is divine strength made visible. Becoming the legacy. Legacy is not what you leave after you die. It's what you live while you're here. It's the feeling people get when they think of you, the calm you bring to others, the peace you embody daily. When you practice soft power, you live legacy every moment, through kindness, through patience, through grace. You are not remembered for your dominance, but for your discipline. Not for your achievements, but for your awareness. Not for how loudly you demanded respect, but for how quietly you became it. Soft power is the whisper that reshapes the world, one calm woman at a time. Thank you for listening to this chapter of Becoming Her. If you haven't subscribed to the Book Club podcast yet, go ahead and do that so you can stay updated on every new release. You can also find this book on Amazon in paperback and Kindle formats if you'd like a physical or digital copy. And if you found this episode helpful, share it with someone who might benefit from it as well. See you in the next chapter.